Thanks to Liquorland for sponsoring this episode of Willow Talk. Score more this summer with Liquorland, and of course, choose to drink wise. Welcome to the MCG, where we won't be back tomorrow for Willow Talk because in extraordinary fashion, we are done in 2 days. Adam Peacock alongside Alyssa Healy. I think Graeme Swann will join us. At the moment, he's overdoing the sprinkler with the Barmy Army. He'll be hopefully over soon, Heels, but well, they're happy. But the rest of us are shaking our heads that we're organising flights to other ports if you're not from Melbourne. It's a weird old couple of days.
This test match just kept on delivering from weirdness to weirdness all the way along, even to the extent of Bryden Carr stepping out at number 3 for England today. It was just a wild, quick test match. I'm sure there'll be lots of reflections on multiple different levels after this test match from the teams, from the ground staff, from Cricket Australia, from everything. It'll be fascinating to see how that unfolds. But ultimately, well played England. They outdid Australia on a tricky wicket.
Yeah, they made best of the conditions, and you can certainly argue that that didn't look too spicy when they were going about it in that run chase. At times they were playing shots and trying to get it done quickly, but at other times when they applied themselves, it was like, oh, this is a normal cricket wicket. Well,
I think Ben Stokes actually summed it up nicely in the post-match and said, if you let good bowlers bowl where they want to bowl on good surfaces like that, you're asking for trouble. And I think the way that the English batters actually used their baseball smarts to an extent and got out there and actually took it to the Australian attack, put them under pressure. I mean, a prime example, Jacob Bethell straight after the break went to reverse ramp, Scotty Boland didn't get anything on it, got a little bit on it, got down the other end. Scotty Boland then dished up 2 half volleys straight away and he got 4 down the ground. So just little moments like that, I think, that naturally aggressive approach actually worked in their favour today. And yes, they got lucky at times, but I thought they went out there, were brave enough and took it on.
We're here at the MCG thanks to Liquorland. Score more this summer with Liquorland. Choose to drink wise, which the English are doing right now. They've just made their way down the race, and for the first time in 5,468 days on Australian soil, they get to whatever they do after I don't know if the English have a team song. I know the Australians do, but enjoy each other's company after a test win, which must be a great feeling, especially, and we'll get Swanny's thoughts on this soon, for English cricket legends like Joe Root and Ben Stokes.
Oh yeah, you saw a beautiful embrace of them after the game, saying finally they got to do that. But I mean, and then you think about some of the memories created for the players that have come here for the first time, their first Boxing Day test, their first experience at this big Coliseum in front of 95,000 people. To get a test win is huge, and that'll create memories for them moving forward. They might be on the next tour to Australia and say, we've done this before in tricky conditions, now can we string it together for the whole series? So some cool stories, some cool moments out of that. But yeah, for those two guys to get a win, I'm sure that Ben Stokes would have loved to be out there to hit the winning runs, but to be skipper, no doubt, it will be a proud moment for him.
Your thoughts on Australia's batting on day 2?
Yeah, look, I genuinely thought that England bowled really well. They remained patient probably for the first time this series, and the Aussies threw it away at times. I think they were, got done by some good deliveries, but threw it away ultimately. I mean, you put 50, maybe 60 more runs on the board in that second innings. It goes down to a close affair tonight, when the Aussie bowlers are charging in. So yeah, they'll probably reflect on that and see it as an opportunity missed. But in saying that, it was tricky conditions, and I thought the English bowled really well. Yeah,
I mean, matches like this, there's generally speaking, this is Australian sport. When something extraordinary happens like this, and it's complete outlier, like we're done in 2 days, is that we're looking for scapegoats. We're looking for people to blame. We're looking for a groundsman to blame. We're looking for a coach to blame for maybe telling the groundsman what to do with the pitch. We're looking for players to blame about playing rash shots or not bowling well enough. Where do you reckon the needle points to most?
To be honest, and this might sound like a cop-out, it's not, but I felt like coming into today, more of that pressure was on England. I felt like if it didn't go England's way and they lost this test match, all hell would have broken loose. It seemed like there was a lot about to unfold in that regard. The talk of Brendan McCullum, Ben Stokes, and then who was out of the side and what was going to unfold. Whereas I feel like on Australia's point of view, yes, they'll be disappointed they lost the test match and probably the way it unfolded, but it's almost like we've got the Ashes series, so that was one job done already. They'll go to Sydney, let's try and make it 4-1. It's probably less on the line in that regard.
Yeah.
But in England's favour, there'll be a lot now written about the Australian side and, what might need to change moving forward. So they've sort of pointed the needle that way, but I still think that needle was pointed more at England, just judging on how the series has unfolded so far.
Well, in that regard then, is it a job saver in a sense for for coach, for staff, for things like that? Or is it, but asterisks, 2-day tests, pitch a bit spicy, let's see what happens at the SCG for full judgment?
Yeah, I'd wait and see till the end of the series to see what actually unfolds once they probably review the Ashes series themselves. But at the end of the day, England have won a test match in Australia and they haven't done that for a very long period of time. So I assume that the powers that be will let them enjoy that, let them get to the end of the series, and then both sides, no doubt, will review what worked, what didn't work, and what do we need moving forward in this test championship cycle.
So 28 million selectors in Australia will be having discussions about who should play in Sydney. I mean, out of today, people like Usman Khawaja's name will come up, Jake Weatherall, Cameron Green, for instance, just to name three. And I know you're a big believer in, let's all calm down, it's not a complete disaster, it's one test match. I remember you after Adelaide saying, why are we thinking about changing Cameron Green for the sake of it? Bo Webster, he's unlucky, but they've gone with Cameron Green. Where do you sit with all of that? Yeah,
I think it's too late now in the series to worry about that stuff. We're up 3-1. It's almost like we need to remind people we're up 3-1. I mean, there were 13 bays of Barmy Army by the back end there cheering and carrying on. We're up 3-1. I think probably the change will be the bowling attack. Do they look at a spinner? Nobody knows what the conditions are going to throw up in Sydney. I mean, it seemed around everywhere. There was 10 overs of spin last year in the SCG test match. So whether that comes into play or not, we'll wait and see. But I dare say they'll leave the batting order the way it is. And let's just look at conditions and see who's going to suit that the most.
So Scott Boland not to open in Sydney?
I'd love to see it again. I mean, let's just reverse the order and see how we go. Well, the tail enders seem to make all the runs throughout all the series, so go for it. But I'll tell you what, speaking of iconic moments, him opening the batting at the MCG was elite. It was pretty cool.
I mean, Ethan, the stats guru on Triple M, what was your stat, Eth? It was if Scott Boland got out to Josh Tongue, he would have been the first hat-trick to get out, first batter in a hat-trick to get out twice in said hat-trick.
Yeah.
That's not a hat-trick then.
We just couldn't believe that Josh Tongue didn't take the ball last night for that one over. What an opportunity to bowl. We knew Scott Boland was going to face that over. What an opportunity for him to have a remarkable stat like that. But, I dare say we won't see that again, Adam. No.
It's almost like it's like a wedding you go to, which is lively. This whole match, this whole 2 days. It's like you go to a wedding and 2 hours into the reception, it's lively. Everyone's having a great time. And then it just tips to the absurd.
Yeah.
And then by 11 o'clock at night, real stupid shit's happening.
Yeah.
That's what this feels like. It's just, like, I think tomorrow we're going to wake up and go, well, gee, really wish there was some cricket on today, but everyone's certainly got themselves to blame.
Yeah, well, and there'll be a lot of made of that as well. But ultimately, and I remember sitting there thinking it at the time, ultimately 190 odd thousand people sitting in the ground have thoroughly enjoyed what's unfolded in the last 2 days. And yes, I know that people want it to go longer, people want this, people want that, but holy hell, it was entertaining for an extended period of time. And nobody likes it when fast bowlers take wickets, evidently, but it was good to watch. It created an interesting contest out there, a very low scoring affair on a tricky wicket. I saw some rumours of someone's floated up an idea of a one-day test match tomorrow for $1 million on the line. Was that you offered that?
No, I'm not quite at Eddie Maguire's level, but there were rumours that the great Ed had a little bit to do with it, discussion. Eddie's an ideas man. I didn't mind the idea, but it was never going to happen, was it?
I actually did hear a rumour that it was going to be between the Fox and the Channel 7 commentary team / crew. So it would have been interesting as to who was going to roll out for that fixture, but that would have been one hell of a one to watch.
Yeah, exactly. I would have come and watched for sure.
Just FYI, I was not wicket keeping.
Would you have played?
Oh, yeah. I'd open the bowling. Look out, I'm bowling on that.
In keeping with Scott Boland opening the batting and Cast coming in at 3 as well. Last one for you before we let you go. Swanny will be joining us, but we'll just do a segment with Swanny after the break.
D-robe.
Yeah. Is it good for Test cricket?
Look, I think in hindsight, no. I think we need to keep the fans coming through the gates for longer periods to keep it alive. That's what I feel like on reflection, but at the same time, as a fan sitting up there watching, I loved every minute of it. I loved the contest. I loved the battle. but can you do that for longer periods? I mean, I'm sure there's elements of Cricket Australia that weren't overly stoked that it went 2 days.
Well, I saw Todd Greenberg walk past here, the CEO of CA, about 20 minutes ago, and he wasn't exactly clicking his heels, put it that way.
But ultimately, then the Ashes series is 3-1. It's obviously not still on the line, but it's 3-1. It's close. England get a sniff. The Barmy Army are happy they're going to celebrate in Melbourne for 3 days, then fly to Sydney with all the hope that they can get this series back to 3-2. So, whilst the cricket itself maybe didn't do wonders for the game, I think the whole atmosphere and the vibe around these 2 days was amazing, and it just shows me that the contest in Test cricket is still alive.
Someone has a Chardonnay with her name on it, so going to let Heels go right now. Of course, choose to drink wise. Yep. Thanks to Liquorland. We're at the MCG. Back in a moment for the wrap-up of this extraordinary test with Graeme Swann. Found him. Welcome back on Willow Talkies. Yes. What was it, 14 years ago you were doing that?
14 years. I know, it's a long time ago.
15, actually.
Yeah, maybe 2010, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Long time.
As good a day for the Barmy Army today?
You know what? For them, they don't care. They don't care the Ashes is lost. Most of them have just come out for this test because people come out for one test, two tests, whatever. Yeah. And the Boxing Day test is always a huge one. That's why there's so many. And I think it's a brilliant win for them. Yeah. It was a very similar game to the first test, as in the third innings cost England at Perth and the third innings cost Australia here. But I don't think anyone will take away that it probably sets up the fifth test as something to play for rather than just a massive dead rubber.
Yeah, a contest, even though we would have taken 4-0 going into 5-0
yes,
possibly.
Absolutely.
But yeah, you'll take 3-1 going into maybe 3-2.
Yeah.
What got the job done for England today, and whom do you give most credit toward?
I'm giving massive credit to the bowlers, because no one will say that, because it's a seaming wicket, but the pressure on a bowling team, especially the seamers, especially people like Josh Tongue, who got 5 in the first innings, everyone naturally thinks, well, he must get wickets in the second. Gus Atkinson bowled well in the first innings, must do well again. So the pressure on them coming in, I know what it's like as a bowling unit when the batters are all looking at you thinking, well, we only want to chase 120, mate.
Yeah.
And so to actually bowl Australia out, who they'd already conceded a 50 or 40 run deficit to for such a low total, and only chased 170. 200 on that pitch would have been nigh on impossible to chase. So 170 was probably about the limit you'd want to chase. So I'm taking my hat off to the bowlers and Jacob Bethell when he batted.
Yes, exactly. We'll get to Jacob in a moment, but I asked Heels the same question. From an Australian perspective, it's hard to see us lose a test match like that, but there is a part of me, remarkably, that's happy for someone like Joe Root and Ben Stokes that they get to experience an Ashes win on Australian soil. You know them pretty well. How will they appreciate a moment like that as part of their career now?
Well, they really do. They were just talking to us on English TV over there, and you know, Rooty just said it off air, like laugh and joke with Cookie. So you've been in the situation 2-0 down. And he said, and you just fucked off home, Swan. So there you go. So there we are. Being at Melbourne and seeing those two, but they're not getting carried away by it, which is nice, because they could easily do that. But they were saying, you know, it's brilliant for the Barmy Army. It's nice to get a victory, but we came here to win the Ashes. So they're gutted they've lost the Ashes. But with the week they had building into this, with Noosa Gate and Ben Duckett Gate and all that stuff, to actually go out and win, there's a shout out actually, Ben Duckett today, because the pressure that he was under and the stinking week he's had with the media coverage and everything, not entirely his fault, partly to blame, but you know, for him to come out, and even though it was only a 30, that'll feel like a 100 for him today. He did great. In
Ben Duckett style as well. It wasn't as if he was nudging the ball around conventionally. Do England have a team song? I should know this, because Australia famously do.
They used to when I played, but I can't tell you what it is.
Because it's got too many swear words in it.
Because it'd get all of us cancelled. But back in the day, it was a perfectly acceptable song, but I'm not telling you what it is.
Okay. What about now? Do they have one?
I don't know.
Because an Australian team after a test match like that would wait until all of us are cleared out, and in 2 hours' time, they'd still be in their whites or creams, and they'd be out there singing the song.
Come from a land down under.
The Southern Cross one, I'm sure you've heard
it. Yeah, I've heard about it. But I mean, just put it this way, it's not a patch on what our team song was. Our team song actually came from...
there is a part of you that is so tempted to tell me what it is.
Desperate to tell you and sing it, but I honestly... our team song came about in the 2010 World T20 in Australia. We beat this, I think it was the Kiwis or Sri Lanka in the semi-final. Yeah. And as we went back to our hotel, we were in those combi buses, and someone's, I think it was my iPod, that's how old it was, was connected to the stereo, and this song came on shuffle. And I thought I was the only one who knew it. So I started singing it. Turned out everyone knew it. and it made everyone laugh out loud, and that became our team song. It was very organic, so we used to sing that every time we won, and we won a lot back in the day. So
you did. So you don't know if this mob had.
I definitely don't sing that anymore. I know that because it was deemed very non-PC. In the crazy world we live in now, you can't have a laugh and a joke, can you? So
is this the type of win though that English cricketers will kind of, when they bump into each other with playing the 100 or county or whatever, in 10 years' time they'll go, I remember that mad old day at the MCG.
Think they will. But the thing, either way you look at it, take the series out of it. This is a Boxing Day Test match at the MCG. You get to play in 1, 2, 3 of these if you're lucky. And the fact that most of these lads, half of them will never play in another one, but they've actually won one. So even though the Ashes isn't successful, winning here is something that definitely will stay with them. I still remember, we won here I think on the 4th morning. Still one of the most memorable Test matches I ever played in. I think I bowled about 15 overs and took a catch, and yet it's still one of my favourite Test matches.
Led the celebrations
as if I'd done everything, as if I got a triple 100.
Hold my back, lads.
Absolutely. And I'm still devastated that I had to drag them all along with me, to be honest.
Hey, give us your appraisal of Australia's batting, because I'm guessing from an Australian English perspective, it's like, geez, I wish these guys would have thrown one or two more of these types of displays up. They did it obviously once in Perth, but what did you make of that with the bat from Australia today?
The third innings is always the hard. In a low-scoring game like that, the third innings is always the hardest, because you don't know whether to go really hard to set a total, but if you do that, you're going to get absolutely vilified by your press and potentially get bowled out for 80 odd. So you get caught between a rock and a hard place, and I think Australia fell victim to that today. They didn't know how hard to go this morning. They just lost wickets. No partnerships ever built up. So it's that third innings. The fourth innings is always the easiest. Like Travis Head showed at Perth. I mean, even though he batted brilliantly there. When you know what you're getting and you know we're going for this anyway. And today, that 170 for England was far easier than setting that total. So, as an Englishman in the media, I was delighted that the way that 3 or 4 of them got out and didn't seem to come out and say, no, you know what, I don't care if it's steaming all over the place. We're going to try and squeeze something out of this. I don't think it would have made much difference, if I'm honest, because that wicket was so bowler friendly. But it might have done.
Because you know how we work with our English lineage, that we like creating a headline out of someone who should be the scapegoat or a bunch of people who should be a scapegoat. And at Sydney, I said this to Heels, there's going to be 28,000 selectors in Australia saying, you're under pressure, why are you in the team, this, that and the other. Would you do anything with that team from Australian?
No, I wouldn't. I think if I was a batter and I didn't play in the next Test match because of my performances on that pitch, I would be filthy.
Yes.
to quote Gary. All I do know is that there'll be 75,000 Australians who are livid with the groundskeeper or whatever you call it, curator, whatever. And it's not his fault. He's created what is probably would be a very good first-class wicket. But for Test standard bowlers, that was too bowler friendly. What I do know is, because of the New South Wales Victoria sort of rivalry, the Sydney pitch is going to be an absolute road next week. So
actually, it won't be.
I guarantee you now. The New South Wales board will say if this is a result wicket, you're gone.
Yes.
I will put. I'm not a betting man, but if I was, I would be heaping on a draw for next week.
Well, actually, Todd Greenberg walked past here before, as mentioned in the first segment. He's actually driving back up to Sydney now to lay tarmac.
Exactly. He's just purchased a road roller that's just going up and down, up and down.
Hey, Jacob Bethell, good for him, good for his career, start of his career, confident young lad. No one has a haircut like that who's not confident. But what did you make of his performance today?
He's found a new missus in Lucy, like you said.
We got there eventually last night, didn't we?
It's a scary moment for me. But I was over the moon, because when I was coaching with England Lions a couple of weeks ago, he came back and played. So when we were in Brisbane, he wasn't in the Test match, and he wanted to play. He said, no, I want a game. I want to come and play. That shows a bit about a bloke as well, because you could easily want to stay and be a part of the atmosphere for a day-night Test, but he went, no, I want to play. He didn't get any in the first innings, threw his wicket away to Todd Murphy and was livid with himself and wanted to make amends. The second innings played really well, left well on length, drove well. He batted like he did today, but more sensibly. So we all know in England how good he can be, but because unusually he's been picked without a stack full of runs behind his belt and without centuries, he's picked on potential alone, which is a very modern thing, isn't it?
Well,
there's a lot of pressure on him. So the way he played today, I've just had Justin Langer come up and went, I like him. I like this Bethell, the way he shapes up. So that's why he's been picked, because the way he shapes up, and he batted beautifully today.
Test player for a very long time, you'd imagine, for England.
You hope, yeah.
You'd think. Secret Cricket Club. Heels was going to answer some of these. Mitch says, does Heels owe us a refund after she said there will be a day 3? Yes, she does. She's going to refund all tickets on behalf of Cricket Australia.
I think I said day 2, didn't I?
Yeah,
I think said done.
Yeah, you got it. And it said, how good was it to see Oscar Piastri there? Well, from an English perspective, you probably...
Smaller than I thought. I know the Formula 1 drivers, they're small, but
not a big car,
but wiry, massive neck. You see them all.
Yeah.
When you meet Formula 1 drivers, they've got huge necks.
Yeah,
they look like front row forwards to there.
Yeah,
and then
jockeys.
Nothing. They look like this. But he's not the world champion like Lando.
Yes, very good. Only because your American team principal favoured one bloke over another. That's not important right now. Greg says, how much has this hype series turned into a fizzer and done more damage to Test cricket?
I get it. The traditionalists, my dad,
yes,
people like that will be absolutely livid, saying, it's not cricket, I'm not watching again. But young kids growing up, I've got 3 of my own, they won't care. They don't know what used to happen in the old days. They'll sit. They don't care about a 2-day test. The ACB will be a bit filthy, but
still got Big Bash.
You know what? You've just got to live with what you've got. That pitch is not normal. The Perth pitch, I think, showed up more about the players' techniques than this did. So I don't think it's the norm moving forward.
Preb says, did the pitch backfire on us? Well, I've got to take on that. I don't think it backfired on anyone. It just became a game of not a coin flip, but verging on that. And England handled the conditions better when they really had to.
Yeah, it was a lottery, wasn't it, as a batter? Let's face it. I've just stood next to our two biggest ever run scorers in Root and Cook, and both of them saying that was a lottery. Off air, obviously, they didn't say it on air. Because
you just outed them.
No, I don't care. Cookie said I was difficult to handle, so of course I'll out him.
Isn't it Sir Alistair as well?
I don't believe that. He's bought that knighthood. There's no way. You can't miss it a drive down to fine leg for 12,000 runs and get knighted. That's a joke.
Joe Root's going to get knighted.
You name me
well.
one time you watched Cookie bat, thought that was aesthetically pleasing. Never.
Oh, when he tried to...
I hope you're watching this, Cookie.
When he tried to hit Ryan Harris at the Wacker that day, that was a nice shot. It just happened to beat his bat.
Oh, wow, you've gone there. I can say it. I'm his mate. You can't.
Yes,
sorry about him, Cookie.
I'm Australian. I can absolutely say it. God bless Ryan Harris. Jacob Bethell surely retains his spot, says Mitch. Yep, we covered that.
100%.
Yes, for a while. I think that buys him some time. Not only
English cricket buys you 3 or 4 years. A win at the MCG.
And Joel asks, would you rather have a net with Bradman or a beer with Shane Warne? You've probably
I've had plenty of beers with Shane Warne, so yes. I'm lucky enough to have done that. But I tell you what I'd love about the debates that always reign through cricket. Everyone thinks that their era is the best, and that people like 20 years ago were rubbish and not as good. If you average 99.93 or 6 or whatever, you've got to be an absolute gun.
Yeah,
an absolute gun.
Yes.
And the one thing that kills me about that, no one says that he was already averaging over 100 before that last night. He must have been to knock it down, surely.
He needed 4. He needed 4 runs to average 100 in his career. And
so he was already over 100 before that knock. That's the whole point.
And you reckon that pitch was bad? The pitch that he got out on for
a wet one.
Anyway,
couldn't pick the googly apparently. But I've never been a believer in that. I think anyone who's the top of the game in their era would find a way in any era. So I'm a fan of the Dons.
Yeah. How would you go bowling to him?
Googly.
Yeah, in his last innings. Swanny, it's been a good time. Not a long time, a good time here at MCG.
I booked myself in 5 days of this. I was ready. I've been at home ready for insults, and I was going to try and get myself a game of golf with the
You've got time now. Yeah. You've got time. See you in Sydney. Look forward to it. Graeme Swann, everyone. That was Willow Talk from the MCG. All thanks to Liquorland. Score more this summer with Liquorland. Choose to drink wise. Bring on the SCG. Thanks for listening or watching. Swanee, have a good night. Yeah, thanks for watching the Willow Talk podcast on YouTube. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you don't have to miss an episode wherever you are. And while you're at it, check out these videos up here. They're mostly good.